All right. Thank you, everyone who is joining us today and for our January evening education connection. And I would like to introduce Caitlin McKinney from TechOwl, who is here to speak with us today. So I'll just turn it over to you and let me know if you need any other wrangling or anything.
Alrighty, feel free to wrangle me if I get out of control. Hello, everyone. My name is Caitlin, and TechOwl, I will tell you a little more about what that is, but it's the State Assistive Technology Act program. So my goal today is to share some resources about assistive technology in general and learning about tools that might be helpful for you and your student, but also most of all, just to make sure that you know about all the free resources that are available through TechOwl and how to take advantage of those. So just as a little kind of overview, every state and territory, actually, there's something like 58 of them, has a federally designated Assistive Technology Act program. So we are housed here at the Institute on Disabilities at Temple University, but we serve the entirety of the state of Pennsylvania. And we have resource centers across the state in 9 different counties. And your local resource center would be us here in Philadelphia. So what does an Assistive Technology Act program do? Basically, we help people find tools to meet their goals, that whether that's greater independence, greater safety, homeschool or leisure goals, anything that can be potentially supported by assistive technology. Now, the legal language for what counts as assistive technology is an item or a piece of equipment that is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capacities of individuals with disabilities, which is a lot of confusing words that just mean tools to make things easier, safer, or more independent. So we're going to talk about everything from the generic off-the-shelf stuff or DIY stuff that you can build at home, all the way up to more high-tech interventions. Because assistive technology exists on this continuum. It can be homemade, it can be free or recycled. Things like printing your own picture communication cards, or using things like pool noodles or foam rollers to build up grips for utensils. It can also be generically available technology if you're using it in an adaptive way. My favorite thing is all the accessibility features that are built into the devices that we have in our pockets today. I mean, pretty much every electronic that comes out now has features for screen magnification, for reading text out loud, for assistive touch interventions, or using a switch to access a phone or a tablet. And all those things are just there waiting to be discovered and waiting to be turned on. And then there are other types of technology that, of course, do have to be specially ordered and are specifically marketed towards people with disabilities exclusively, whether that's like a dedicated communication device or maybe a customized wheelchair that, of course, is built according to your body and your dimensions and support needs. And then at the very end of the continuum would be, you know, super fancy, sophisticated devices. The picture in the bottom right-hand corner here is the NeuroNode, which is hanging out in our Assistive Technology Lending Library in my office right now. And this is a device that uses EMG, that uses basically electrical muscle signals to activate computer access and communication access. So for someone who has really limited movement, you have the option of using eye gaze on it, or you have the option of using those muscle signals. This is something that takes a little bit of practice, takes a lot of calibration to learn how to use it first. Definitely something that requires more training. But I like to highlight the whole continuum because all of this is assistive technology, whether you can pick it up right away and do it yourself, or whether it needs more professional support. So here at TechOwl, our goal is to help you learn about all these different solutions that exist in a really person-centered process, starting with not just what your abilities are and your challenges, but also what your goals are. What is it that you need to do? What context are you doing it in, whether it's at home, at school, out in the community? What parts of your routines would you like support in? Where would you like greater independence? And thinking about all those factors that are uniquely you're unique to your family, your student, then basing our assistive technology recommendations on that, and hopefully helping you directly access those solutions. We do this in two different ways. So first of all, we are helping you learn and try AT, and eventually helping you get access to that AT once you have decided that it's a good fit. So in the realm of learning and trying, we have a technology lending library, which is super exciting for anyone who hasn't used it. I'm really excited to show you how to use that today. We also do demonstrations, both in person and virtual. We assist with emergency planning and emergency preparedness. And we provide general information and assistance to answer your questions about assistive technology or other disability and tech-related topics. And then we also can help people get devices. So of course, you have to return your library technology at the end of the loan period. And then what do you do from there? Well, the equipment might be available from donated surplus in our reused equipment program. Might be available through a different grant-funded program like the Free Special Phone or our Connect with Tech tablet program. Might be something we can make through our Create Together program, or it might be something that we can find you a grant for. So I'm going to tell you in more detail about each of these different options and how you can access them. For demonstrations, as I mentioned before, your nearest resource center would be right here in Philadelphia. We are located on Temple University's campus, and we have a lovely demonstration room. We're very excited about our new office, and we have lots and lots of different types of technology right there on site. So you are welcome to make an appointment to come in and get really hands-on and directly compare different tools to see what works best for you. You can also connect with us over Zoom to discuss those options and compare those different technologies. So the wonderful thing about our team is that we have a wide variety of experience in terms of both lived experience and in terms of professional experience. So we have staff members who are autistic, who have chronic illness, who have cerebral palsy, who are blind, who are dyslexic, who have ADHD. And we have staff members overlapping that category who are professional occupational therapists, speech therapists, certified assistive technology professionals, certified low vision therapists. So we can schedule you with a person who is the best match for your case, for your needs and the technology that you're interested in. And of course, everyone is invited. Most importantly, the person who's going to be using the technology, if that's your child or if that's a different family member, we want them to be the central voice in that decision making. But any family members, any other support professionals, or even educational staff, if they want to connect with us over Zoom and have a whole team meeting, we love to involve anyone who you would like to involve. This picture on the bottom is just a glimpse of one of the side walls of our demonstration room. It's semi-organized according to categories. You can see there's some magnification and vision equipment, some adapted phones, some switch adapted technology, and some tablets. This picture is back from when our one 3D printer was still stored in this room, but we've expanded to multiple 3D printers, so that is no longer the case. As we demonstrate technology and you decide things you want to try, many of these things might be able to be accessed through our lending library. And you can also access our lending library completely on your own without any sort of demonstration or any recommendations on our part, if that's your preference. We really try to be as barrier-free as possible. And that means letting you make your own decisions and have complete agency throughout this process. So if you wanted to choose items on your own without our input, that's totally fine too. And we have some resources to help you do that as well. One of those is a giant little knowledge base about different types of assistive technology, which you can browse on your own or use an automated tool to make suggestions. So I'm going to show you kind of just a general example of how to use the Lending Library. So from our website, we click the Go to the Library button, and that brings you to our inventory database. Right now, I must be signed in because it doesn't give me a sign in button. And you just click View Items for Loan. So if you are signed in your own account, you wouldn't have to choose Pennsylvania, it would know. And the best way to browse through this menu, if you're not looking for something particular, is to use the device category dropdown. And you'll see that we have tools for vision, for hearing, communication, learning, mobility, daily living tasks, environmental adaptations, vehicle modifications, computers, and rec and leisure activities. So if you just want to kind of browse, you can use that menu there and say, for instance, what's available in communication devices, what kind of Big Mac switches, Go Talks. We also, most of our lending inventory is actually through iPads. That's most of the speech loans that we do. So you can borrow an iPad and we can put speech apps onto it for you. I would love to show you how to put that in your cart, but it's not going to let me. I think I'm logged in under an admin account. Let me log in under a normal person account. There we go. So let's say I know that I want to borrow an iPad. This is the only confusing part of using the Lending Library, so I did just want to demonstrate this real quick. So you'll click Add to Loan Cart. And then, apparently I have two iPads in here, you're going to click Submit Device Loan Request. And this gets confusing for people because they know there's a step they need to do. There's other notes they want to add, like what address to ship it to or what apps to put on the iPad. And it seems counterintuitive to click the button that says Submit. But you click the button that says Submit, and then that brings you to the page where you can add any other notes, address changes, that kind of thing. So other items available for borrowing. We have a lot of alternative access methods available to trial. So for instance, if you have a kiddo who's learning how to use eye gaze or who's learning how to use switch control or maybe a head mouse, we have lots of different options for all of those categories. We actually have one demo kit that kind of gives you an all-inclusive. This laptop comes with voice control, it comes with a head mouse, it comes with an eye tracker, it comes with switch access. So if you don't know where you're starting with, we have kits that give you lots of options too. Another good kit option is the switch kit, which I think is hopefully called switch kit. But in case you are not sure what type of sizing or pressure your kiddo might need, this is all different switches that comes with a variety of activation forces and surface diameters. So you can see is just lots of space to play around with those and to browse and to find something that would be a good fit for a need that you know about or just something new that you'd like to explore. And the Lending Library is, again, a completely free service. So devices are shipped straight to your home, and it has a free prepaid return shipping label in the box already. Most loan periods are 5 weeks. If you're trialing communication apps on an iPad, oftentimes people are trying more than one app at a time. So we do allow double time for those loans. But for other items, 5 weeks, and extensions are granted if there's not a wait list for that item. We're more than happy to let you keep it longer if you're still deciding or if you're getting good use out of it. And free tech support for learning how to set up any of these devices. Again, either in office in our demo room or over Zoom. So we saw some of the different devices in a list form, but here's just some pictures of different types of devices that are available. For communication options, we have both simple and high-tech devices. We have managed app blending, which means whether it's a communication app or maybe a switch access game or a cause and effect app or something else that you're using, those are all managed, which means we can remotely push and pull them and give you more options or different options as you're using the iPad. We have a lot of different vision and hearing technologies, lots of different types of telephones, whether that's large button, amplified, Braille, teletype for the deaf, all sorts of different options there. One thing that you might be interested in is the wearable speaker. Can be used with AAC systems. So if you're using perhaps like an iPad-based AAC system and you want to amplify that speech output, or I worked with a family who thought it was really beneficial that the speech output be coming from the person's body rather than from their computer, and that was important to them. So we found this as a potential solution that they can wear the speaker. It's a little magnet-based clip-on right on their shirt, and then people are hearing their voice coming from that instead of from the computer, which is offset a little bit. Number of different computer access devices, everything from key guards, different types of mice, a lot of different head-mounted or other body part control options. The gyroscopic mice can be worn on the head, can be worn on an arm or a leg, and will track that movement. And smart home devices. We have 2 different types of smart home kits available right now, as well as some one-off accessories like the Echo Show. And we have some guidance on how to set these up, as well as how to use kind of more integrating advanced features, like adapting Alexa routines and automating features to make things easier and more accessible. This particular kit on the left here comes with some smart lighting, some smart plugs, 2 different speakers, and some door contact sensors. And the contact sensors I've seen used in some really wonderfully creative ways in terms of being able to tell, when a room is or is not occupied, or everything from, when a cabinet has or a refrigerator has or has not been in use to remind people to eat. Really creative things being done with that kit. Personal care tools, we have a wide variety of medication dispenser and medication storage solutions. Some of these require more fine motor skills than others. We have some that are wall mounted, so they have a lever underneath that you would take a cup and push the cup into the lever, and then it would pour your pills for that time of day into the cup for you. We also have some that automatically sort your medications for you and then pour them out like a gumball machine almost. A wide variety of kitchen tools and eating aids. On the top left corner there is the Obi dining robot. So that picture doesn't have switches in it. That's a marketing failure, but that tool is switch activated. So you have one switch operated by one body part to rotate the trays, and then another switch operated by another body part to activate the spoon. So it's preset. You preset it once to be at whatever height and distance is appropriate for where your mouth is. And then after that, it's all completely independent. A number of other kind of stabilizing, tremor reduction type of utensils. Some aids that can be used for beyond eating utensils. So those easy hold cuffs could be used on writing utensils, could be used on a hairbrush, could be used for a wide variety of different things just to help give a better grip. A lot of the one-handed kitchen tools I also find are very helpful for people who have just, reduced motor control or reduced strength, even if they have use of both hands. It makes everything a little safer if you have just that stability of the thing being held for you. And then automatic tools, of course, like the automatic can opener. There are also a variety of sensory tools in the library. So we have compression vests in 4 or 5 different sizes. We have noise canceling headphones in a couple different sizes and styles, weighted lap pads, wide variety of fidgets, different light tools, projectors, some of them switch activated. And of course, leisure items, because it's not just about household tasks or learning or whatever, things you need to be able to do. It's also about having fun. So the Strum is a switch activated guitar. It can be used with any standard switches, but also it works really well with the switches from the Xbox Adaptive Controller, actually. And the switches take the place of each note. So you can play different notes or program it to be a chord combination of notes. And you can also use a switch to replace the strumming capacity. But what I really like about this one is most of our switch activated toys are kind of on the cause and effect level. You're making a toy go and it's maybe playing music, but you don't have any control over what music it plays. Whereas this is truly an instrument. You're learning all the skills, or you can choose to use it that way. You can choose to learn all the skills of reading music, of composing your own music, of really having that full experience. It comes with different colored keys, and you can print out the sheet music that's color coded so that it matches, the keys or the switches that are in front of you, and really have that full experience of learning music on an adaptive guitar. For something that's a little more at the cause and effect level, we also have the Scoob, which is a cube-like instrument, and that is also a lot of fun. Seen a lot of my younger students really enjoy that one. We also have some different sports accessories. Most of these are in the vision category because they're designed for kiddos who have low vision. They have, balls, like audible balls that either beep for dodgeball, or it has like a bell inside that rings so that you can hear where it is in relation to you. And then some adaptive gaming accessories. I think the one that you guys would be most interested in is the Xbox Adaptive Gaming Kit. And you don't have to have your own Xbox in order to use that. You can borrow one from us and then borrow the adaptive controllers from us as well. And we have a couple games that come loaded on with it that we have found are pretty playable for an introductory Switch user. You might have to have a friend or a family member play alongside for some of them to really get the full gaming experience for someone who's new to using those Switches. But they definitely are fun and motivating. And we are always looking to spend our library budget on things that people are asking for and going to use. I don't want to be making these decisions. I want you guys to make these decisions. So if there's an item that your family really wants to get to try and it's not in our library inventory, shoot us a message or click on the suggest a library item button right on our webpage, and we will add it to our wish list for the next budget overview. So we've seen a few different categories of things you can get access to and learn about through the library. Now, what's beyond that? How do we, once we find something that we like, buy it? What kind of assistance might be available? We can walk you through public funding sources that you might be eligible for. If any of these sources requires an official recommendation or an evaluation, we can offer that as well. I have frequently written evals for OVR or for adult autism waiver, for kind of daily living tech or almost more recreational tech. For speech generating devices, our speech therapist writes those. This is the only service for which we do have a fee, and that fee would be paid by whatever the funding source is you are using to get the assistive technology. There's also lots of options for private funding sources. I believe that you guys already had heard from the Pennsylvania Assistive Technology Foundation, I think. Yes, fabulous. So they, I'm sure, also gave you a rundown of some of the grants available and that sort of thing. The one that TechOwl administers ourselves is called the Virginia Del Sordo Fund. The phrase fund of last resort is a little bit overkill to us, but really all that means for us is that it's an item that would not traditionally be covered by insurance or that was rejected by insurance. That's all. We don't even actually ask for proof of that. We're very low key. But we recently raised the cap. So it used to be $200 and we found that inflation, that's just not enough to cover people's needs anymore. So we were able to get permission to raise that to a $400 grant recently. So we can assist you with purchasing anything up to that amount or give you $400 towards a larger purchase. And the application for that is on our website. In addition to walking you through different funding options, there are lots of opportunities to get assistive technology directly from TechOwl. One of the big ones is our reused equipment program. We also have a couple other programs that give out specific devices, which are the free special phone program, the Connect with Tech tablet program, and the I Can Connect program. I Can Connect, I don't think I have a slide on today, but that is a program specifically for individuals who are both deaf and blind. And it generates computer access options. So if you qualify for that criteria and you want to learn more about what's available through that program, just send me a message and I'll get you hooked up. But a little more in depth about the other options here. So our reused equipment program always has mobility devices in stock. Unfortunately, not a lot of pediatric sizes lately. We're working on getting more of those in the Eastern region. Our Western Pennsylvania partners tend to have more pediatric equipment at the moment. But I always have adult size wheelchairs, walkers, crutches, and canes available, as well as other DME like shower chairs and commodes. And the big benefit of being at the Philadelphia site is that we often get the library retirees. So there's assorted assistive technology available based on what's being replaced from our library inventory. This summer, there was a lot of smart home technology replaced. So I ended up being able to give out a lot of those devices over the summer. Right now we have some things from our old demo room, like adaptive plates, scoop bowls, adapted cups with the little nose cutouts, adapted paintbrushes with built-up grips, and other various assorted low-tech things available through that program. You can see what inventory is available in Philadelphia on our website, but also we have a long list of partners in other regions. So if there's something specific that you're looking for, feel free to let me know and I will see if I can find it. I also have a well-updated map, a Google map, listing all the places that we have partnered with before that we may be able to find.
I was going to try to embroider this if I.
Okay. Free special phone program. So this is one of those programs that does have an application. Don't like having to require applications because I know you guys have so much paperwork and so many other barriers in your lives already. but just the grant funding for this particular program does mean we have to have an application for it. But you can get not only landline phones, but also traditional smartphone cell phones through this program. So iPhones, Android, or even tablets, iPads, and Samsung tablets. So the eligibility criteria is that you have to have some form of disability that impacts your ability to use a typical phone. And you have to have income below 200% of the federal poverty level. You are responsible for phone service, so we are only able to give you the actual device for free. You would have to sign up for service for your cell phone, but we can provide information on lifeline services and other kind of reduced cost options for you. And you can apply for that either online, or we're happy to mail paper applications as well. And if there's something else you need in order to be able to access communication, for instance, if you need an AAC app to place phone calls with, or if you need a mount for your wheelchair to hold your phone, then we can get those things approved through an exceptions process as add-on accessories as well. Our tablet program that does not really have any criteria is the Connect with Tech program. So we're averaging about 300 almost tablets per month at the moment, actually, but the written goal is 250 tablets per month for people who are at risk of health disparities. So this is our only program that you don't have to have a disability to be eligible for. You could also be, homebound, have limited healthcare access, or be at risk for medical discrimination based on language, race, sexuality, or other factors. So anybody who identifies with one of these categories and doesn't already have a means of computer access is eligible for a free tablet. So you can apply online or by phone. There is a paper application as well, but I do not recommend filling out the paper application for this particular program. The quantity of applications they work with is so significant that it really does make a difference in terms of timing if you are put right into their digital system, either by doing it online yourself or they'll put it in for you over the phone. And then our last means of kind of a free acquisition through TechOwl is our fabrication program. If any of you have participated in the toy drive this year, one of the things included in that was a 3D printed switch. And so that's one of the many things in our 3D printing catalog that are freely available throughout the year. So some other examples are different types of bottle openers, jar openers, signature guides. We also do key guards for AAC devices. They end up looking very similar in style to that signature guide. Different types of grips and supports for utensils. Some more specific and specialized items like an adaptive nail clipper holder. You put your nail clipper into and then it can be activated with more gross motor movement. Different styluses, different pen grips. We have this cabinet pull to make it easier to open and close cabinet doors. We also have a doorknob adapter along the same style that goes, you screw it right around your round doorknob and it turns it into a lever doorknob. And then the last picture is a key holder to make it easier for you to turn keys. Lots of different little fine motor type aids available in this catalog. There are more at that Maker catalog link. But these are all things that, cost maybe several dollars to $30, $40, depending on the item, to buy commercially. But in reality, they're really simple to make, and we can do it for such low costs that we are funding it ourselves and sending them out for free. So you can put in the request right on our website, and we will send you whatever items you feel might be helpful for you. In addition to that kind of pre-selected catalog of items to choose from, we also are more than happy to help custom design something to fit your needs. So if there's a vision you have, something that you or your child could benefit from, share that vision with us and we can kind of help talk through it together, get our engineering students involved if we need to, and make that. Some of the things we did in the past year include a PVC walker, a PVC beach wheelchair with those big balloon tires, a set of steps for a kiddo who needed them to access the bathroom sink. Those were kind of the bigger projects we had going based on a need that someone saw and couldn't build themselves. And then, of course, our annual toy adaptation project. I will put the link to information about that in the chat as well. And I will mention that there is actually information about using the tools from that toy drive on that website as well. So if you haven't seen it already, definitely take a look at that, because I know I've gotten some questions that we need to update our packaging for next year to answer, rather than making people go onto the website. But you'll see if you scroll down, participant survey here for anyone who hasn't taken it. We love our data, it's what gets our funding. But if you scroll down then to the video, it'll show you some examples of how to use your battery interrupted toy, and particularly how to move the battery interrupter to another toy. Because it's literally just a matter of opening up the battery compartment and putting that interrupter into a different toy. And then you can use your switch with any kind of basic electronic device that just operates on an on-off switch. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. And again, kind of our goal, all of these things is affordability and access. So anything that we can do for free, we will. For some of the things we've done in the past, we did like a floor wheelchair for a toddler. It was basically a bumbo seat on a scooter board. And some of the parts for that were cost prohibitive. So we were able to kind of source parts from the community, and then the family was able to fund some of the parts. So we'll kind of work with you on anything like that that has something that we can't necessarily fully fund, but our goal is to bring access. So we tried technology, we acquired technology. The third missing part here is learning more about assistive technology. Obviously, we provide information and assistance when people have questions. We provide training and public awareness activities. We also have other bonus projects like our emergency preparedness and our AAC community. One thing that was new this year is our self-paced learning modules called AAC Essentials. So you can get kind of little tidbits about how to set up and learn about, how to encourage someone using who's a new AAC user. And some modules are also directed towards AAC users themselves. My favorite one of those is titled How to Expect Respect, doing some conversational repair and also empowerment. And speaking of empowerment, I also wanted to make sure that everyone knows that our ACES program is returning to in-person this year. It's obviously been virtual the past few years due to COVID, but ACES is a 2-week summer intensive program that's held on Temple University campus. We provide housing and food in the dorms, so it's kind of that college experience, that social community, and it's a really fantastic time. There's also lots of educational benefits. We have a team of speech therapists planning the classes and curriculums. So there are going to be opportunities for learning about communication strategies, learning about technology and how to, for instance, maybe you are a fluent AAC user, but you don't know how to use your AAC device to use social media, to send emails, to place a phone call, to do those sort of interactions. There'll be classes for that level of user. There'll also be classes for the level of someone who doesn't have their speech generating device yet and is still figuring out what would work best for them. So lots of opportunities for skill building, as well as socializing. The participants in this program do have to be 18 years old due to college campus housing rules. But anyone who is 18 or older, I would encourage you to check out the application information and see if this is something that might be beneficial or of interest to your family. I will put that information in the chat as well. And then actually, before we do contact information, I want to drop this link in the chat because, as I mentioned, we are a federally funded and grant funded program. So data rules our lives. And if I don't have a survey to say that people listened to me talk at them today, then it doesn't count. So survey for today's presentation, I will put in the chat, or you can use the on-screen QR code. And information about the ACES summer program. I will put that in the chat as well. I'm sorry, I'm not sure why that one isn't coming across as a link. Okay. And then contact information. I do actually recommend that if you're interested in any of these things, you follow us on social media. Our social media is fairly robust and is a great opportunity to just casually in short snippets learn about what's new, what's happening, what programs we're offering, and different devices that are kind of up and coming in our inventory. We also keep it fun. For us, the mission is a lot about destigmatization and kind of just increasing awareness of disability-related topics. So having a further reach really helps us meet that goal. So feel free to follow us on any of those platforms. We're very big on TikTok for some reason that still amazes me. And our contact information is here. The phone, the email, and the live web chat are answered by a real live person on weekdays from 8:30 to 4:30. And if you miss us, we'll get back to you. And then my direct information is here as well. I am more than happy to, do whatever meeting methods and phone methods meet your access needs. If you don't have a preference, then I will let you know that I am generally the best at answering email in a timely manner. Phone voicemails are a little overwhelming for me as an autistic. But however you need to meet, we will make that happen. All right, now I want to make sure I leave time for questions as well. So does anyone have any questions on the ways you can borrow, learn about, or get technology from TechOwl, or any of the other topics we heard about today? Yes, Carrie.
Hi, thank you so much. This is all so cool and exciting to hear about these different technologies. I wanted to ask you about a specific question. My daughter is a teenager, and her she has a few favorite things in the world, but one of them is to play Just Dance on the Nintendo Switch. And previous to this year, they had a function where the songs would just go one after another. So all she had to do was wave her arm around and she could dance. This year, for some reason, although they seem to think that they added more accessibility features, they took away that feature, which was so critical for her. And so I was wondering if is that something that you could potentially help problem solve, whether it's figuring out how to help her advance, by switch adapting the push of the button or something like that. Because honestly, I don't know what to do because it's that's her favorite thing to do. And other than call the company and tell them that they really took away a good feature, which I do plan to do. But I was just wondering.
No, absolutely. I was going to say, first of all, call the company is an option. We have had success with that before. And they are not one that we have an established relationship with yet, but we can. And yes, I'm not familiar enough with switch mechanics to know off the top of my head, Nintendo Switch, that is, not Access Switch, is pretty familiar with those.
Yeah.
To know what the best solution would be, but for sure, we would love to problem solve that for you.
Okay, great. I'll be in touch then. Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions? Yes, Bob.
A couple. Great presentation. I really appreciate you putting it together and sharing with us. I was really happy to learn about some of the devices you guys offer through the borrowing program for just aids around the kitchen and that sort of thing. I think I'm going to put some of that to use in trying to figure out some ways to help a couple people around my house do things
Sure.
better. We learned about something called the Achieva grant going back a couple months ago. Have you folks worked with that particular funding source?
Yes, so we've helped people identify, the best fit to be able to, usually for those types of grants, they ask you to, give 2 different options for what would be an acceptable device so that they can kind of, compare and make sure it's a both cost-effective solution and that you have, consulted with someone or have it prescribed in some way to know that this is going to meet your need. So we're more than happy to support in that sort of way. Were there any other specific questions about that, or?
No, I just wanted to see if it was on
Sure.
one of the sources you're accustomed to dealing with. And then the other question was, how frequently can somebody participate in the free special phone program?
It's a great question. I believe it's 2 years, it might be 3. I'll have to double check that for you. There is a limit. It's the thing I love about our website. I can get answers to all the things that I should already know.
And then when you're ordering one of those phones, if a user has specific apps that they become reliant upon, is it fairly simple to get that stuff loaded on there, or is that really dependent upon which app it might be?
Yeah, so definitely the phone is just like any other way you might acquire a phone. So you have full control over it in terms of adding your own apps. If there are apps that you're looking to get covered and paid for by the program, there is a separate form to fill out for explaining how that would, augment your distance communication access. Since it's a telephone program, you do have to make the case for how it would be related in some way to using the telephone, but it's not too cumbersome.
And then one last question, with regards to your ACES program, do the candidates necessarily have to be independent when it comes to activities of daily living and that sort of thing?
Nope, absolutely not. So we invite one support person to stay with them on campus if they would like, and we'll provide, housing and everything for that person with them. And fully expect that many of our participants need support with activities of daily living. For candidates who don't need support with maybe those activities and just need maybe general prompting and safety support, we do also have staff on site in the dorms who can provide kind of that general level of supervision.
Great. And follow-up question to that. Is there like an age limit, could they be somebody who's, a little older than the typical college student?
For sure. Absolutely. We have had people from like 18 to mid-30s participate. I would say that any older than that, you're probably not really going to be getting a lot of benefit out of the program.
Right.
Most of our participants, not all, but many of them are focused on some sort of, life transition, either getting ready to graduate high school, thinking about going to college or entering the workforce, or maybe a transition into an independent living setting if they've been living with family. So many people are kind of experiencing those sort of goals and life changes. So just in terms of both skill building and social compatibility, I would say probably mid-30s would be my recommendation, but we definitely do not have a hard cutoff.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for presenting today. I just did the loan program for a bunch of our students, and we were able to try some new equipment before purchasing, so it was great. And I will be there on Tuesday to check out 3D printing with Tom. So I really appreciate the program and everything we can do. And I think we saw some more stuff today that we can try out with the kids that we didn't go through the catalog and see. So I think it's always great to get a refresher of what's out there. So thank you so much for doing this.
For sure, you're so welcome. And there are literally hundreds of devices in our library inventory and dozens in our 3D printing catalog. So for sure, that's sometimes the benefit of having the staff members available to say, okay, what are your goals and what are your needs? And here we can make some recommendations. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us if you or anyone needs some help navigating those and maybe wants to have a little bit more of an interactive conversation about it.
Hey, Caitlin, one of the questions you mentioned at one point that you had students that like trying certain things. Do you guys actually have students that you're teaching there when it comes to augmentative communication or some of these other technical devices? Are you contracted by school districts, that sort of thing?
So well, technically maybe yes, but for all intents and purposes, no. Let's see, I can't remember what I was talking about specifically. We do have obviously school age clients that we work with. I have a recently transitioned teenager who comes to see me on like a monthly basis, and I find every excuse possible to make the visit free for him, and we're just doing our thing. But also when I use the word students, probably myself and a lot of people come from school backgrounds. So I used to work as a teacher in a very similar setting to HMS with mostly children who have complex medical needs and multiple disabilities. So I use some of these resources with them. We're still, have other community connections that I'm going into classrooms and helping them learn how to use their technology. But we are not directly contracted in any sort of teaching capacity.
Thank you.
Caitlin, thank you so much for this presentation. It was wonderful. And I do want to say ACES has been a remarkable experience for a handful of students that are popping into mind right now, who are now alumni, but they were students when they went from HMS. I wanted to ask you about if there's ever an opportunity for a home visit, or if technology, or is the idea of families would come into TechOwl and that is where they would get their training. And I'm just curious if there are ever supports that go out to the home to further assist with setting things up.
Sure. That's
Thank
mostly very geographically dependent.
Okay.
So of course, in some places we don't have the staff, don't have the capacity for the travel. But in the greater Philadelphia region, there are lots of occasions on which we will say, hey, would you like to come into the demo room? There are some advantages to that in terms of just everything being pre-set up and having access to a lot of different things all at once. But if that's maybe not the best fit for someone, or in some cases not possible, and someone can't leave their house, we are more than happy to brainstorm out what's going to meet that need best. And if it's not a virtual consult, if that's a home visit, then 9 times out of 10, we can make that happen.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, trying to give that long Zoom wait time, right? See if anybody else had anything. Thank you so much for coming to speak to us today, and thank you to everyone who participated. And I'm sure that you're going to be hearing from both staff and families after this. So we really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you everyone, and have a lovely evening.
Awesome. Thank you all. It's so nice to get to talk to you, and do feel free to be in touch.
Thank you, Caitlin. Sorry for all the questions.
Never too many questions. I love it.